what are my priorities? Where do I really want to focus my life? And then how much time am I putting into those things?
You're listening to Overwhelmed Working Woman, the podcast that helps you be more calm and more productive by doing less. I'm your host, Michelle Gauthier, a former overwhelmed working woman and current life coach. On this show, we unpack the stress and pressure that today's working woman experiences. And in each episode, you'll get a strategy to bring more calm, ease, and relaxation to your life. Hello, friend. Thank you for joining and listening today. Today, we have my former client, Marci. And Marci is an overachiever, as most of us who listen to this podcast are. And she found herself stuck in life, which was very strange for her because she is a mover and a shaker who makes things happen. So when she came and joined my group coaching program called The Good Life, she was feeling really stuck. And in this episode, you'll get to hear how she got unstuck. She used some time management techniques to decide where she really wanted to spend her time. She started saying no to things that just didn't align with the type of life she was trying to create. And she really depended on the women in the group for support and offered support in return to them. And the combination of those things is what you're going to hear about today and what got Marci to the point where she is now, which is feeling completely unstuck and aligned in her life. Thank you so much, Marci, for being here.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, good. Well, I just have a few questions for you. And the first one is, how did you feel before group coaching or why did you decide to join? Those might be two different answers or the same.
So the biggest thing is I was completely stuck, which is very unlike me. I have been in corporate America for 30 plus years. I was type A manager, tons of people, make decisions, go. Everything was fine. And I was just like, I was literally stuck. I wasn't making decisions. I couldn't move forward. I was just overthinking everything. It was very frustrating for me because it was very unusual.
Yes.
And I have had the great fortune of being retired. And what I say is then moving into my third act, but that became overwhelming because I really wanted, now that I didn't have somebody telling me what to do and I was in charge of my whole life, my whole day, what was my priority, I just shut down.
It makes so much sense. It's like too many options. It
Yes.
can be anything you want it to be. And I also think it's really common for people who, I would say you're exactly like this, have it all together, are very successful, etc. That the reason that people often come to me for coaching is because someone like that, who usually can solve their own problems, feels stuck and they're like, wait, this is out of my wheelhouse. I don't know what to do here.
Exactly. Absolutely. And so I was familiar with your program. I know you, I trust you. And I thought, you know what? The best thing I can do is get a perspective that is not in my circle of chaos. And so I thought you would be the perfect person to help me try and figure out just what the heck is going on here.
Good. Well, thanks for trusting me. So that being said, once we started the group coaching, what would you say is the most important thing that you learned?
I really loved the thought model and going back to it. And a lot of it's like in my years of working, I have heard certain things, but being reminded and then taking through that again, and then really trying to live that instead of just be familiar with it. I think that was the difference, to really put it into practice.
Yes. And so just to explain that to anybody who's listening, the thought model is the basic idea that the thoughts you have create the results that you get in your life. And there are a few steps in between, but what we do in group coaching is we work all the way through that. So for example, if Marci's thought about her post working life where she went into retirement was like, I just have no idea what to do next, that's going to create a feeling of confusion that then will create the result of not knowing what to do next. It kind of keeps you stuck in that. So as an example, I don't know if this was really your thought, Marci, I'm just suspecting. maybe you had a new thought of, I'm going to take one next step.
Yeah.
And then you did one thing and that created a different result. So I don't know if you have a specific example, but I'm just trying to explain in general sort of how that helps.
Yeah, well, you had a lot of tools that were great beforehand to say, like, what are my priorities? Where do I really want to focus my life? And then how much time am I putting into those things? Because we all know there are good things and there are great things. And so many others will try and put their desires on your time that you really have to be strong and clear focused on what are those true important priorities that only I can do. And where do I want to focus that time and energy? And then how can I use my thoughts to make those great things where I'm putting my energy to build a great life for myself. And I thought that was amazing.
Yes, that's so amazing. And I think especially for someone like you, where when you're suddenly available, everybody wants you to be on their board. Everybody wants you to help with something at church. Your family would love to have you do things for them too. And so it's a compliment/challenge to really get focused on what you want. What is the way that you want to spend your time?
Absolutely. Exactly. So,
Okay. Yeah. So it's a 12-week program. If you had to guess, I'm sure you don't know the exact day, but how long do you think it took until you started feeling better? Not solve the problem entirely, but started feeling better.
Oh, it was in the first couple of weeks. Truly, the first couple of times that we met, because I had a feeling I'm doing something positive for me. And that helped at least to relieve a lot of the stress. So, not that I had to solve anything, but I knew I was taking action to make things better. And just that helped to relieve a ton of stress and clear my mind.
Yeah, that makes so much sense because you're just taking steps towards solving the problem and that
Right.
took off the pressure. That's great. What was your favorite part about group coaching?
The other attendants, the other women. I always love to be around, I'll just say top performers. And in that, I mean people that are looking to get better and want to. None of us are perfect, but we're all trying to do a little more or be better or have a happier life. And just to be around great ladies like that was really fun. I enjoyed it and learned so much from everybody else that it was great.
Yes, that's one of the things I love too is that the coaching that somebody else gets, you can learn something from it. And I thought that group was so cool because people were at all different stages of life. And so I felt like you could help people who were early in their career and somebody else had experience with something else that they would share. I loved that. I think that's great.
I did too. And even though we were in so different, you made that point. I loved being able to learn from everybody, even, their interpersonal relationships with a mother-in-law, because I am a mother-in-law. So how am I,
Yeah.
I could take that and try to learn from that. And so no, it was wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, good. I love that part too. So, how would you say once you finished up the program and all the work that you were doing on yourself in there, how does your life feel different now than compared to the stuckness that you felt before that?
I think I just have a much deeper sense of calm. I have tools that I know I can go back to if I start to get out of whack. And just recognize that I can take radical responsibility, as you have said in your class, for the results that I have in my life. And by doing that, that gives me empowerment to be able to set myself up for a lot more success and a lot more feeling of joy and happiness and calm or whatever those things are that I'm looking for. Health is a big one instead of what am I doing?
Yes, such a waste of your precious brain to be thinking, what am I doing? Now you can just be like, okay, I know how to figure out what to do. I can use this tool and do that. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, two questions that I ask every guest on the show. The first one is, what's something you can do to make yourself feel not overwhelmed, less overwhelmed? Like, what's your quick go-to if you notice that you feel overwhelmed?
Moving my body. So it's taken me a long time to recognize that I am worth the time and energy it takes to be healthy. Would do that for another person without blinking an eye, but to do it for myself has actually taken effort. So either go for a walk, or I love to go and exercise. I do jazzercise 5-6 days a week just because it's fun and it's got a whole bunch of fun ladies. But moving my body to get my yayas out.
Yes. And doing that with a group of other people, I do the same thing. And I think it's so nice to know they're sort of expecting you. Like if you didn't show up for a while, they'd be like, hey, where'd you go, Marci? I think that's really helpful too, like accountability partners in a way.
Absolutely. So that has helped a lot just to make exercise something that is truly in my mind non-negotiable.
That is great. And when it gets to be that solid in your life, it's just a habit. You don't have to think about it. You just know you're going to do it. I think everyone aspires to that. So that's great that you have that. Wonderful. And then my second question is, what's something you do consistently to save time or do less?
I'm a planner, and I know other people that do this as well, but on Sundays or sometimes Mondays, because Sundays I try to do Sunday dinners for my family. So Mondays I have the luxury of having that day available. I will plan out my menu items for the week. I plan out my schedule for the week so that I've done it and I know what's coming. So by doing my menu planning, and I'm not rigid, like on Tuesdays, we're going to have tacos, but I literally have a spreadsheet, and I was more rigorous when I had a family, but I had a spreadsheet of like 20 different dinners, and I would just rotate that on a basis. So I didn't have to think about it. It would just be these 5 things are what we're eating this week. And then usually one day was leftovers and one day was eating out. But those 5 things, just go through the 20 things and then start over.
That's so great. Yes. And I'm sure a bunch of teenage boys were just happy to have food on their plates.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm more of if I can make things automated, and then I don't have to think that hard again.
Yes. That is such a great point. I love how you said that. You think hard one time to create the thing, and then you can just use that over and over and over again.
Exactly.
Yes. And I love how you gave the example that sometimes you just would put eating out on there, because I think people put a lot of pressure on themselves to have like a sit down dinner every night. And that's just not feasible sometimes, maybe lots of times. So that's great. I love it. That's a great tip. As you could tell from listening to this episode, Marci was part of my group coaching program called The Good Life. In The Good Life, we start off by defining what the problem is that you're trying to solve. And in Marci's case, it was she felt stuck. And by the end, she solved it. And we walked through it week by week, tool by tool. You have each week videos assigned to learn new concepts. You do work in your workbook. You come to group coaching. You get group coaching from me. You get support from the women who are in the group. And I promise you, we have knocked out all types of problems. I would love to have you join this group. There is going to be registration starting in July, but right now you can get on the wait list, which I really encourage you to do. The group is small and I keep it that way on purpose. So when you join the wait list, not only do you get to register early and be the first one in the door and secure yourself a spot, but also you get a bonus. The bonus that you get when you are on the wait list and register for group coaching is a one-on-one coaching session with me that you can use at any time. Those are normally $250. So that will be yours for free when you join group coaching from the waitlist. So get on the list now and start thinking about what problem you want to solve. Thank you for listening to the Overwhelmed Working Woman podcast. If you want to learn more about my work, head over to my website at michellegauthier.com. See you next week.